Well. What's good, you guys? Back at it again with another episode of Up Close and Personal with me, your boy, Irami. You know, I've been kind of debating if I want to do it or not, but after the past couple of days been going by since the tragic death of P&B Rock, I was like, should I really make a video? Should I really talk about this? Should I really get into this for real? But as I was, mulling over the fact and mulling over the investigation, how it went down, how it happened, what happened to him, and everything, and just kind of, for the most part, staying quiet. For the most part, staying quiet and just not letting it really go down. It kind of led me to a video. It kind of led me to a video that I watched some months back by my man Sneako, and today we're gonna react to that video. Which is pretty much talking about the current state of hip hop, the rap industry, the music industry, and what's going on with today's rappers and what's happening to them. These are people who we love to listen to. These are people who we love to follow. We love to you know hear their music, and it boggles my mind that stuff like this could happen. Now this ain't the first time musicians have lost their lives in this matter or any ways, shape, or form. But the fact that it's just happening so much, like a domino effect, it really did make me start to think. And then again, it brought me back to that video I watched some months back. So, without further ado, let's stop all the talking. Let's go ahead and get into that video. Shout out to Sneako. I talked about him a couple of times before in the channel. Shout out to Sneako. We're gonna get into the video. Why music hit different when the artist is dead. Now, again, this is not any connection with the P&B Rock, but this is just talking about the music industry in general, and the idea of when an artist, doesn't matter they're a rapper or a pop artist or whatever, when they get out there, make their music, and in some odd reason they become more bigger than what they were when they were alive. So, without further to do, let's go ahead and get into the video. Let's go.
Why do artists become better when they're dead? Like me and everyone else in New York, I've been thinking a lot about the death of Pop Smoke. I've never seen an artist blow up in this city the way he did. I'd wake up every morning hearing someone play Dior. Every BMW speeding down the Ave was and still is blasting Christopher Walken saying they outside. He became the voice of NYC in like 6 months.
I mean, that's pretty true. Now, again, I'm from Texas, so um, his music ain't really blowing up like that, of course, and it makes sense. But it's the fact that we only been known, like he only been in the rap scene for only about, what, 6 months. He only been out here for a short time and wasn't even able to live the fruits that he made, to live the success that he created. But he became more than what he was. So it's just interesting what the industry has done for them, and how you had even other celebrities talking about how great he was. But you know obviously you can tell that you haven't even heard of him until he died. So it's interesting. Continue.
Months, and then died before he could enjoy it. He was never mainstream
Facts.
until he was alive, which I didn't realize until I went around the country. And whenever he came up in conversation, someone would be like, "You didn't listen to him until after he died." The sad reality for a young artist, die.
And you know who that reminds me of? That reminds me of XXX Tentacion. Now I knew of him. I wasn't the biggest listener, but I knew of him. Um, Mostly from memes and everything. But when he passed away, I never realized, like, I never knew how big he just blew up. Like the moment he passed away, he gotten so big. Like, I think like his music was getting like platinum, not platinum, but getting like nominated with like gold or platinums, getting nominated. Like he was getting like he was getting like Grammy nominations. There you go. And it was crazy. Like you had celebrities like Kanye West, Jay-Z, Drake, and Nicki Minaj saying, "Yo, he was my favorite. He was my favorite," and everybody was blowing him up, saying that, "Yo, I love X." but I've never heard of him before. And when I did heard about him, all you heard was the allegations and the claims that made you criticize him. But when he passed away, then y'all switch up. It's interesting. So yeah, that reminds me of back in 2018.
Dying is one of the best career moves you could have. If the streams are low, kill yourself and you'll go viral. Your publicity skyrockets, your label pushes you harder, and you become a legend, even if you don't really deserve it. My mom was asking me about
Yo, facts, bro. Facts. Like like there's so many artists that I had never heard of, but when they pass away, they become booming. And I don't know, like I was talking to some of my folks. I think it's a psychological thing. It's kind of like we don't know somebody and they just in the underground producing music, and then when they leave, and they leave this earth, they die before they're able to reach their breaking point, hit the peak of their career. It's kind of like, well, this is all we have, so let's just go ahead and boom it up. I don't know, but he about to speak about Lil Peep, which is another example of the situation.
Peep. Lil Peep. Why does a 50-year-old Asian woman know who Lil Peep is? Because when he dies, his life becomes a story. He gets a mainstream documentary with the perfect Rotten Tomato score, even though his music is pretty average. Drugged out SoundCloud rap isn't good enough to warrant a documentary on its own. But the face tats, the drug.
And again, I'm not making no connections with no other rapper who have lost their lives. I'm not making no connection at all. I'm talking about the current state of this industry and why we have created a culture where death has become entertaining. Death has become part of the lifestyle. It's the same with like rappers going to jail. It's like, it's like that stereotype, you know, a rapper made it big when he goes to jail. If a rapper goes to jail, he like bro, he made it. He's a big celebrity now for some odd reason. Same thing for death. It's like the moment when someone loses their lives, especially in a tragic way, like in a shooting or something like that, or a drug overdose, then it's like, oh, it becomes different. It's something psychological that has kind of been conditioned us in society, and that's kind of the aim where I'm getting at. And it's like this keeps on happening and happening. What you call like creating legends. It's like if I can't and I can't if I can't be famous in life, then I'm gonna be a legend in death type of thing. So it's like this. We create like a culture of death. You know, that's why I'm kind of getting at a little bit. It's all psychological.
SoundCloud rap isn't good enough to warrant a documentary on its own. But the face tats, the drug addiction, cult fan base, all that immortalizes him instantly. In a weird way, dying gives his work validity. It's like when Chester Bennington of Linkin Park killed himself, all his songs become real. I'm dancing with my demons, I'm hanging off the edge. People start saying, oh, he really meant that.
Well, he really meant that. He really was dancing with his demons, and the demons must have won. It's like people don't care until it's too late, type of feeling. Like when a man is on the edge screaming to people, "Help me, help me, help me! I need help." I'm being chased by my demons. I got so much baggage. I'm struggling, but people just hearing the beat, people just hearing the music. Nobody ain't caring about the lyrics. Forget the lyrics. Like this is like a musical expression of calling for help and a big giant SOS. Help me. But when it's too late and the person unfortunately passes away, then people are like, oh, he really meant that. He really meant
If
that.
Kurt Cobain was still alive, would his face be on every shirt at Urban Outfitters? If Tupac and Biggie were alive, would they still be called the greatest, or would they be washed up and corny like Eminem?
Think about it. If Eminem had OD,
That's interesting. That's interesting. It's kind of like the longer you continue to make, longer your presence is in the scene, in the music scene. Are you still gonna be just as good? Now, I mean, and to me, I feel like this is kind of subjective because I feel like if you're somebody with actual musical talent, like a musical genius, you can be out there for years and still be relevant. Look at Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was making music and performing until he died at the age of 50. He was 50. His music can be tracked from like what several decades, from the 1970s all the way to like the late 2000s. Every generation, every single generation from Gen X, sorry, from the baby boomers, Gen X, Gen Y, the millennials to even Gen Z, all have their Michael Jackson of their decade. Same goes for Prince. Same goes for a lot of musicians like Drake. Like for example, like Drake. Like if you have musical talent, if you have like legit musical talents, you can transcend through decades. Now Eminem, that's a whole different. He may be corny, he may be washed up, or he ain't rapping for real no more. He's not rapping for the heart. He's just rapping like he's like one person said, he's become the Dr. Seuss of rapping. He just rhyming to rhyme. He's not really trying to rap from the heart or rap to make a story or rap to make a meaning. You know. Now he's just, I don't know. That's an awfully lot. That's an awfully hot coffee pot type of thing. you know, he went from talking about how he cleaned out his closet, stand, the Mockingbird, and just kind of just being deep and real with his music and rapping at the same time, to now he's rapping about hot coffee pots, stubbing his toe, walking as he's walking through the parking lot. Like, bro. So, but I mean, that's subjective. I feel like it depends on the artist. It depends on what they do, how far they go. Like if they continue to, it all depends. But it is an interesting take.
Indeed, in 2003, there would be no debate about his greatness. Unfortunately, dying young immortalizes you.
And that's the point I'm trying to make. Dying young in a way immortalizes you in the music industry. In a way, because it's like, because the more you're young, you're inexperienced. You haven't made it through life for real, for real. You haven't made it through the decades of being an experienced artist. You were still an amateur. Your music was still like was still amateur. And then when you lose your life and all you have left is that, in a way, it just kind of like, it's like a it's how can I think of it? It's like a storybook, like an audio storybook of how it started and where they go wrong. It's like listening to Kurt Cobain, Nirvana music. Like when you listen to his music, knowing how he died, and you listen to it differently. It's kind of like when you listen to Kurt Cobain. If you like, to all my boomers out there, back when Kurt Cobain was still alive, and Nirvana was still out there touring, when he was making all those music like "Come as You Are" and stuff like that, you listen to it differently. But after he passed away, you listen to it in a different way. You know, it's very interesting. Like with somebody saying a rap song, "Yo, I'm gonna die tomorrow," in one of their lyrics, you'd be like, "Yo, that's heat. That's crazy." But then if he does die tomorrow, actually, then you look, then you when you hear that lyric again, you'd be like, "Oh, so he really meant that. He must have predicted his death, maybe." I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
Death is entertaining. There's a problem on both sides here. Rappers earn credibility robbing people and catching bodies, and then the middle-class suburban kids live vicariously through it. There's subreddits
Facts.
like Chiracology and New York State of Mind that keep up with
And
the
again, we're not talking about all rappers. We're just talking about certain type of rappers, particularly, I guess, within the gangster rap, drill rap, the particular group of people who, their music, that they make profits out of glamorizing violence, particularly, and we all grow up listening to that, accepting it, being desensitized by it. You feel me? So in a way, it's kind of like we have become drugged out when it comes to death. And like he said, in the day, death is entertaining. It's all part of the whole. It's a part of the entire art of music itself. In a way, dying is an art.
real rappers of their cities, and in the comments they debate what rapper is actually like that. They speculate and
Oh, let
investigate
me
how
check
many
and see. We
bodies they
still
catch like it's
live.
Call of Duty.
All right, we
Academics
good. We
made a
good. We
whole
good.
career off this,
Tell
sitting
the press
behind a
we are.
laptop covering gang wars in Chicago like it's celebrity gossip. There's entire YouTube channels that make pretty good videos reading arrest records from the police that explain RICO charges and gang takedowns. It feels like watching a mob movie, and that's the problem. This is real
It's
life.
real life.
People
For
keep
real.
dying and we keep watching. Post Malone
For real, bro. It's like watching the news. It's like watching the news. You see that stuff every single day. Like that's one of the reasons why I don't like watching the news no more, because all you hear is every single day someone dying, someone dying, someone dying, and I get it. Death is part of life. Death is part of life, of course. I'm not trying to change it. I'm not trying to make it sound different, you know. But it's like when you start to profit off of it, when you start to market it as a ploy, like making it part of culture. Let me tell you something. Um, what did and actually, you know what? We may do this, but I feel like we're going to. I don't want to get copyright strike, but listen to Kendrick Lamar's on one of his latest music videos. You know, death, death, killing people, violence, robbing and shooting, causing mayhem and terror. That should not be a part of culture. That's not culture, bro. Let's be real. That's not culture. It's just evil.
blew up wearing cornrows and grills, rapping about his homies shooting up your block, and now he's doing rock ballads with Ozzy Osbourne. That's really what he wants to do. He's a guitar player, not a gangster. But that's how you get people to pay attention. 6ix9ine was very open about this in his New York Times interview. He had fans in Europe, but he's a kid from Brooklyn. No one cares about Slovakia. So he paid off the 9 Trey Bloods to pose in his video, and you know the rest. He ratted on all of them, and now he's making Mexican music. Vincent Van Gogh got rich.
Bruh. That's facts. That's facts. I mean, heck, nowadays the rap industry is, if not maybe like the most biggest genre in music. Back in the day, you had so many different genres that was like just as good or was competing with each other, like pop, country, blues, R&B, particular R&B, and rap, particularly back in the 80s and 90s, was pretty much undergroundish. Like I know like the '90s with Wu Tang Clan, Biggie Smalls, and Tupac. They were like the first ones to bring it out to the mainstream. But for a long time, yeah, hip hop was such a niche thing. It was such a underground thing, and on top of that, hip hop was a cultural thing. It was predominantly it was a genre that was performed predominantly by African Americans, and it was all and majority of it was talking about and topics that related to those that were predominantly from the African American community. So that was probably another thing, but but when you have people like Eminem, and then later on you have people like Machine Gun Kelly and Post Malone, who were not from the African American community, rapping about things that weren't necessarily about African, about topics and issues that were predominantly found in African American communities, and still being on top. It really blew hip hop up into the scene. And it's kind of ironic. It's kind of ironic, but it's kind of like it took white people to make hip hop, which was originally black, mainstream. Because for a long time, even with Tupac and even with Jay-Z and even with all the people from the '90s and the 2000s who were doing their thing, like Dr. Dre and the NWA and all that, it took people like Eminem and Post Malone and Machine Gun Kelly, and the list goes on, to go out there and make hip hop as big as it needed to be. So in a way, it's like why people did it again. I don't know. I don't want to go into that rabbit hole, but that was just something I was thinking about. But but again, because music is art, the idea of art, you have paintings, and he gonna mention Vincent Van Gogh, how the man spent his whole life, and I actually studied this a little bit. it's kind of sad. Vincent Van Gogh spent his whole life being a struggling painter, just trying to find his way through life. Yeah, he was suffering with mental illness, trying to find a job, trying to find a place in life, and he was just using his paintings as a means of, like, I'm gonna give you this painting for a cup of coffee, for example. The man got famous and got rich from the grave, essentially. And essentially, that's what's kind of happening to a lot of these young up and coming rappers these days. For example, like X and Lil Peep and all that, becoming big names on the wall of fame of hip hop, solely because of the few things that they have produced on their short time on Earth.
From the grave, Basquiat went from doing graffiti in the Lower East Side to selling a painting for 110 million after he died. It's not just hip hop.
Facts.
It makes me think that art is a lie.
That's another paint. I'm studying. Basquiat. I hope I'm saying his name right.
Or at least what they tell you belongs in a museum. The story behind a painting sells it. And the best art derives from pain. You all know it.
The story. Yep. Basically, what I'm trying to point out. Like I said, when you listen to someone's lyrics before they die, you listen to it a certain way, but then after they leave, after they pass away, you listen to it a different way, because it's the lyrics, it's the story, it's the pain. It's like, how are they feeling? What led them up to where they gone? It's kind of like, because they didn't have enough time to be out in the rap scene, be out in the music scene, and kind of let people know who they are, what they're about, and their history. All you have is their music. So people out here studying, analyzing every single word they said in the few songs they have put out, to understand who they were, in a way. Like people like Eminem, people have wrote books, movies about him. Like I said, he's been out here for so long that he have made so many interviews talking about his life that any devoted Eminem fan can tell you from top to bottom his life. Heck, they may know more about his life than Eminem himself. So that's one thing, but I don't know. It's so mind-boggling.
Emotion makes music, and pain is the strongest feeling. Every creative can relate to feeling like they shouldn't improve their lives out of fear that they'll lose their edge, that if we fix our problems, we'll lose what makes us unique. There's profit in your pain. Your favorite stand-up comedians are depressed. The best musicians are drug addicts. If you get rewarded for your errors, are they really wrong?
Because for some reason we find that interesting. People who are battling depression, drug addiction, and so many other demons that they've been fighting, and then, unfortunately, sadly, when they lose that battle and leave this earth, and all they have left is the music that they wrote through their pain and through their suffering, we like, oh man, this is different. That's crazy.
Well, I'm with Convoke. He's an artist. He doesn't want to say rapper, but I consider him a rapper.
Is this just how you introduce people? You're just like...
Just listing their whole accomplishments.
Yeah, no, you just...
He's also wearing a tie-dye shirt.
I want the viewer to understand. He literally just whipped the camera out within like 2 seconds is filming and like already interrogating me. It's very impressive.
Okay, so we're talking about how...
Yeah, just skip it.
We're just talking about how pain comes with art.
Yeah.
You're saying that, how would you further boost your career right now? Like, what action could you commit?
Oh, I see what we're saying. Okay, so basically we were just on the subject of the fact that when artists die or commit suicide, it further legitimizes their art. For instance, I think about...
Facts. Honestly, like I agree with that in so many ways, and it's all psychological, and it's all been ingrained to us in society from when we grew up as children to now as adults, and it's so strange. It's so strange. It's crazy, but it legitimizes the art that you're selling. Like if you somebody who been making sad music, depressing music that is all about gun violence or depression or contemplating suicide and all of that. And when stuff like that actually happens to you, unfortunately, it legitimizes it. Like, oh, he was real. The man was talking about real stuff. Like the man was talking about gang banging and he died by gang. So that was real. Um, the man was talking about depression, and he died by his own hands, sadly, but it was legitimate. So I'm gonna let him take the I'm gonna let him take the wheel. He like what he's saying is legit from this.
Killing myself a lot. I just do. Not a big deal, whatever. And if I actually did it, it would legitimize what I say in my music because people would be like, "Oh my God, this is way
It's
more
real.
serious now." The same way, like with Linkin Park, Chester Bennington killed himself, and he had a lot of fucking music that was about really dark themes, and it like further legitimizes and like, oh man, it's so much more deep now. And I think it's
And my thing is, bro, it shouldn't have to be like that. If a man like in this issue about depression and suicide, if a musician is talking about his pain, his sorrows, and he needs help, he needs a way out through his music, and people just bobbing along and dancing, ain't trying to listen, then in a way it's kind of like we failed. We failed to do the job, and when he unfortunately succumbs to his demise, his own demise from it, then all we have left is of the warnings he put out, and all we can do is just listen and say, "Dang, this is deep. This is real. This is real." But bro, it was real when he was alive when he was saying it, but nobody wasn't taking action. You feel me? Like that's the point I'm trying to make. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all.
just like it's really unfortunate, but I think it's almost the way it has to be. Like, if that makes sense, where it's like to cement yourself as like a fixture that was honest and, made some really pivotal shit. You dying in some form or another definitely legitimizes your art, and it's really unfortunate. I don't think it's a good thing, but it's just the way it is.
Because art in
And,
itself, sorry,
I'm not gonna.
death
So it's
in
good for your
itself is
career.
art.
It is good for your career. It's unfortunate, but like it's actually it's not good for your career because you're not.
Well,
there
if you
want
to boost your album sales,
yeah, I guess, but like
kill yourself.
we could. We could make.
Don't
it a
do that,
joke.
people.
I mean,
Do
it's
not
like,
do
it's
that,
like a
people.
funny
Don't
thing,
do
and
that,
it's
people.
also like so unfunny at the same time, but.
People, anyone who's listening to me, hold on. Let me see if anyone's even here. Okay, to the one viewer that's watching me, and to anyone watching, um, in post, if you made it this far, first of all, congratulations. Like, comment, subscribe, and two, get help if you having any issues. If you having any issues, if you having any contemplations of suicide, depression, if you or like harming yourself or harming others, go see somebody. Go talk to somebody. Hell, go talk to me. Like you gotta get that stuff off your chest, and you gotta get help. It's not serious. Go get help. Go see somebody. Go to the suicide prevention hotline. Go out there. We can do it. I'm gonna let him take the. I'm gonna go ahead and take the lead. Let's go.
But yeah, if you want to fucking make sure that your neck kin makes a shit ton of money and you're an artist, yeah, if you killed yourself, your shit would blow the fuck up, and it's really sad. It's just the way it is, dude.
Yo, I think Vincent's in here. Yo, Vincent, did you hear? What? Did you hear?
What?
Skillshare is giving away 2 free months of premium membership to the first 1,000 people who click the link in the description box. And after that, it's only about $10 a month. Personally, I was reading Yorker. Look, she writes for the New Yorker productively and
All right. Okay, so that was it. That was in the video. Pretty much, it was a sponsor. Once again, shout out to Sneako. Shout out to Sneako for that video. It's a very thought provoking video. And it kind of just it gives you an understanding. It tries to give an understanding to what's been going on to the music industry as a whole. Why are rappers that we love and know are losing their life in many different ways, not just through depression and not even through gang violence. Like again, going back to P&B Rock. Um, yeah, going back to P&B Rock, how this man was literally just living his life, enjoying his day, going on a date with his girlfriend, and literally losing his life over what? Some chain, over some jewelry, a chain around his neck. To me that reminds me of That reminds me of Nipsey Hussle. Hold up, let me get my set back up. Okay, that reminds me of like Nipsey Hussle, how he how all he wanted to do was to change the community, change the world, and try to help people, try to get people together, and and not try to tear people down and cause violence. And what happened? He lost his life over some BS. Pop Smoke didn't do nothing at all. He wasn't coming at nobody. And what happened? Was live streaming some of the bags and gifts he was giving, like he was going to give to his mother, and he accidentally leaked his address. Gave people a reason to come over to get him. So I know that video was, I guess, kind of focusing on the idea of overdosing and suicides and stuff like that, but it can go even farther into like just violence, you know, gang violence, just random violence, jealousy, envy. I mean, going back to, I was speaking about XXX Tentacion, how the man lost his life over because of a car he was in. He was like what? He was like in a motorcycle dealership, if I can remember, and some guys pressed him over his chains, his jewelry, the car he had, and all that, and they killed him for it. So it's not even just about the idea of gang violence. It's not even about the idea of drug overdose or depression and suicide. It can just be just envy, jealousy, haters who don't, and like because you have valuable things on you, and because you're driving a valuable car, just because you have a name that's very popular, it drives people to greed. And when people become envious and when people become filled with greed, then they end up doing evil things, and it's sad. It's very sad. So I don't want to take no more. I don't want to take too much time from this video. I hope I was able to clear this out as best I can. Again, I'm not trying to make no connections. No, I ain't trying, make no assumptions. I'm not trying to speak ill of no one. I'm not trying to speak ill of the dead. I'm just giving out my opinion. This is, so bro. Shout out to Sneako. RIP to P&B the Rock. Sorry, P&B Rock. RIP to all the rappers that have lost their lives in this way, living their life, doing their thing, and because they got what they have on them, because because of who they are naturally, they got impressed and lost their lives for it. And also RIP to those who unfortunately lost their battle with depression, or lost their battle with drug overdoses. So, with that being said, stay safe out there. Protect yourself. Love those around you. Love those who are around you, because life is short and people is crazy in this world. So that's all I got to say. Um, if you like this video, again, like, comment, subscribe. And I'll see y'all in the next video. And remember, I'm just a man with a microphone. It's not even that serious. But this topic right here is pretty serious. All right, then, we out of here. Let's do this. Hit me with that music. Hold up. Are we stuck? Hold up, hold up, hold up. I am stuck. Doesn't matter. We can just hear music on the way out. We out here. Let's go.